Hi, welcome back to my channel, Beautiful Minutia. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany, and today I am doing a very special tag. This tag is the by the numbers booktuber shout out tag, which is a super fun way to spread love in the booktube community by recommending some channels that maybe you guys haven't seen that I love. So the way that this tag works is that I am going to shout out a booktuber from different ranges of numbers. So from 0 to 100 subscribers, 100 to 200 subscribers, 300 to 400 subscribers, and so on and so forth. This tag was originally created by my friend Sandy at Miss Reads a Lot, and I was tagged by the wonderful Dia at Novel Idea. So for each of these booktubers that I mentioned, these are people that I watch and enjoy, and I would love for you to go subscribe to them. But if you are one of the booktubers that is mentioned in any of these categories, consider yourself tagged to do this exact same tag and shout out some booktubers that you love and keep the love going. So let's start out with booktubers who have 0 to 100 subscribers. I am going to shout out the wonderful Adrian from Changeling Reader. Adrian has been subscribed to my channel for a while, and we have had some really interesting and just thought-provoking conversations about books in the comments sections of my videos, and he is a college student who just recently started his channel. I think he's working on maybe some sort of literature degree because he takes these amazing classes. He had to read War and Peace for a literature class in college, and it's been really fun to hear his thoughts on that. And he just is very articulate, and I love the way that he expresses himself, but he's also super funny. So Adrian is just a blast, and we are gonna do our first buddy read together next month, and I'm really looking forward to that. Next up in the 100 to 200 subscriber category, we have Courtney Reads. Courtney is just wonderful. She reads a lot of Russian literature, which is originally how I connected with her, because she is a huge Dostoevsky fan, much like myself. So I really love hearing from Courtney. She does other stuff on her channel as well. I mean, she really does love classics, and she reads quite a bit of fantasy as well. But lately she's been doing little video reviews of movies that she's watching as well. And a lot of them are older and classic movies that maybe I haven't heard of, or, things like that. And she's done some on some Hitchcock movies as well, which is really fun. So I really like Courtney's channel. Next up in the 200 to 300 subscriber range, we have Nose in a Book, who is Autumn. And I'm new to her channel. She just recently, I think, subscribed to me, and we've been chatting. We have a lot in common. She's also a stay-at-home homeschooling mama, so it's really fun to talk to her about those kinds of things. And she reads pretty widely. She reads a little bit of everything, and so a lot of times she's talking about books that maybe I haven't read or haven't heard of, and it's always fun to be subscribed to people like that, because then you just hear things that may not have been on your radar otherwise. Next up in the 300 to 400 subscriber range, I am going to shout out Dokja Yoon. And at the time of me recording this, she is literally this close to 400 subscribers. So by the time this video comes out, she may have hit 400 subscribers. But for the sake of the argument, I'm putting her in this category right now to shout her out. So Yoon is also a college student, and she is currently attending university in South Korea. She's Korean, and she is just, I love her take on things. She's recommended a lot of different manga and manhwa, and she reads a lot of fantasy, and she's also recommended some classic Korean literature that I had never heard of before and that she's talked about. So I really like Yoon's videos. She's a lot of fun. In the 400 to 500 subscriber range, I am going to shout out Chrissy's Purple Library. Chrissy is just a hoot. She's so funny. I just recently found her channel because Penny had recommended her to me because she loves Robin Hobb, and after I'd read Assassin's Apprentice, Penny sent me a list of booktubers that she's like, you need to follow these people for emotional support after you read Robin Hobb. And sure enough, Chrissy has started a hashtag of Hobb emotional support group or something like that, which is just super fun. And Chrissy's editing is amazing. She's like always intermixing like really funny gifs and different things. Like her editing is like, she puts so much work into it and you can tell, and she is just a hoot to watch. I love Chrissy so much, and I've just recently gotten to know her just a little bit better because we did Buddy Read Sword of Kaigen together last month, and that was so much fun. I'm so glad that I got to buddy read that with her. In the 500 to 600 subscriber range, I want to shout out Berna's Bookish Adventures. Berna is a booktuber who lives in Turkey, and so she reads books in multiple different languages, which is really cool. She reads very widely. She reads a lot of different types of books. She reads some Turkish books that I've never heard of. She reads classics. She loves mysteries. She reads like a little bit of everything, and I really enjoy her channel, and she is so sweet and wonderful. If you don't follow Berna, you really need to. And also, kind of like fun fact, the very first buddy read that I had as a result of BookTube was with Berna and Naomi from Naomi's Bookshelf, and we read an Agatha Christie book together, and it was my very first buddy read that I ever did in my whole life, and that was really fun. So I just love Berna, and I think of her in like almost a nostalgic way as well, just because she was my first buddy read. In the 600 to 700 subscriber range, I am going to shout out Kate from the Literary Apothecary. Kate is probably one of the sweetest people that you will ever see in your whole life. She's just such a wonderful person. She's always so encouraging, and when she talks about books, she always talks about the things that she liked and appreciated about it, even if it's a book that she didn't really enjoy and didn't really feel like was for her. You won't ever hear her trash books. She always talks about how there's something in every book for everyone. Like there's a little nugget here that you can pull out, and I really appreciate the positivity that Kate brings to BookTube. Kate reads pretty widely as well. I think she reads a lot of fantasies, and she reads a lot of those kinds of books, like sci-fi fantasy books that maybe I hadn't heard of, and she does like dedicated spoiler-free reviews all the time. Sometimes she'll do like them as YouTube shorts, so they're just like these little 60-second blurbs, and sometimes she'll do reviews that are longer. I know Kate is also a pretty big Russian literature fan, especially of Dostoevsky. We're right now both co-hosts of the Demons read-along, but I know she's co-hosted a few other Russian read-alongs with the Literary Discourse Discord and all that kind of stuff, and so Kate is just a lot of fun. Highly recommend you check her out if you haven't already. Next up, in the 700 to 800 subscriber category, I want to shout out Felicia from Little Prairie Library. Felicia hasn't been posting super regularly lately, but she reads pretty widely, and she's hilarious. Like, she talks about books and she talks about life, and just I love like the way that she talks. A lot of her videos crack me up, and when she's kind of roasting a book, it's really funny. I really enjoy her channel. She's a lot of fun. Then in the 800 to 900 subscriber range, isn't it weird that I literally don't even have one person that I can put in there, which is really odd. So instead, from the 900 to 1000 subscriber range, I am going to recommend 2 channels to kind of make up for that gap. So the first booktuber in that category that I'd like to shout out is Denise from La Rosa Reads. I first met Denise through one of Krista's non-fiction Christian readathons that she did. And there was one book that we read, I think it was Gentle and Lowly, that we were both like co-hosts of that book read along, that we were on screen with Krista discussing the book like each Sunday for whatever month that we were reading it. And that's how I first met Denise, and she is just a ball of sunshine. Like, she is like this ray of positivity, and she's always smiling and so upbeat, and I just feel like she brings a lot of light and love to BookTube. She reads very diversely, not just in genres, but she also just focuses a lot on diversity and inclusion on her channel, and so I always appreciate her recommendations. We don't always read a lot of the same books. I haven't noticed like a ton of crossovers but she has definitely recommended a lot of books that maybe I wouldn't have heard of otherwise. And so I really like her book recommendations. And she also has her adorable daughters come on sometimes and share books that they have enjoyed, and that is super fun as well. The other booktuber that I'm going to recommend in the 900 to 1000 subscriber category is Tori from Good Strong Words. I first found Tori's channel in October for Booktuber, and she was posting about various things and of course brought up the whole like Kieran and Kate Howe debacle with like wives and daughters, and it was really funny. And so that's kind of how I first found her, but she does like to read a lot of classics, and so during Booktuber she had some amazing content, and I just really enjoyed watching her channel during Booktuber, and I've enjoyed continuing to watch her since then. And she just has a lot of books that she discusses, and she reads pretty widely. She doesn't only read classics, but I always enjoy watching people who do read classics because that is one of my favorite genres to read. And so the more that I watch other people who talk about classics on BookTube, the more that I find classics that I've somehow never even heard of. And that is always fun to find recommendations from people that are kind of like these hidden gems. So highly recommend that you go subscribe to Tori. And the last category is 1000 or more subscribers. And for this category, I decided to choose people who were closer to the 1000 end, people who maybe are not very big channels and have just like maybe recently hit that 1000 subscriber mark, or aren't like way ahead of 1000 subscribers. So I'm gonna recommend two people because I've already mentioned two or alluded to both of them in this video, so I'm gonna include them here. The first one is Naomi from Naomi's Bookshelf. I already mentioned that my very first buddy read on BookTube was with her and Berna from Berna's Bookish Adventure. So I'm going to recommend Naomi to you if you haven't already checked her out. She is amazing. I love her videos. She reads really widely as well, and she has a super fun TBR game, like a Clue TBR game, and Clue was my favorite board game as a kid. So I think it's so fun the way that she has set that up and the videos that she has surrounding that. She has a lot of topical videos as well. I know she just came out with like a Little House on the Prairie video because she was co-hosting some sort of readathon of that. And she also does a lot of dedicated reviews as well as wrap-ups and all that kind of stuff. And she participates in a lot of events because Naomi is one of the fastest readers that I know. Like, she reads so quickly and can read so many books in a month. It's super impressive. So Naomi is just a sweetheart. You should totally subscribe to her if you haven't already. And then the other person that I thought of in this range who just recently hit 1000 subscribers, I already mentioned that I read Sword of Kaigen with Chrissy from Chrissy's Purple Library, and we read that with Miriam from Miriam Elizabeth Reads. So I'm going to shout out Miriam here as well. Miriam is such a sweetheart and I love her so much. She actually is the one who mentioned reading Sword of Kaigen, and she very graciously asked Chrissy if I could crash their buddy read. And so they're both just so wonderful. So I wanted to shout both of them out here since I mentioned Sword of Kaigen. I feel like I needed to mention Miriam too, and you should totally subscribe to her. She reads a lot of classics. She reads a lot of middle grade. She reads a lot of Christian fiction and historical fiction, and she really reads a little bit of everything. And I really appreciate her book reviews and the things that she talks about on her channel. And there's a lot of times where she's been reading books and I'm just like screenshot because she makes it sound so good. So I want to read like most of the books that she talks about. Well, that is the By the Numbers booktuber shout out tag. And so I hope if you are watching this video that maybe you found a few channels that you didn't know about before that you can go subscribe to, and that you enjoy their content as much as I do. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like and also subscribe so you can continue to see more bookish content from me, and I will see you again next time.